speaker, Morgan Hurd. Morgan Hurd. I do. Now where's that cooler? I do. Now where's that cooler? Morgan Hurd.
I can't for the life of me remember the name of the humorist, but she had this to say about weddings. No good party starts with church. Now don't get me wrong, I do have fun at weddings, and the best part is knowing I had nothing to do with any of the preparations. Yes, my fellow Toastmasters, judges, most welcome guests, you could say the thought of planning an elaborate wedding is something that fuels my nightmares. That's why I was overjoyed when my sweetheart first told me she'd like to elope and have a tacky Vegas wedding. My only stipulation, Elvis couldn't be present in any way, shape, or form. We were actually looking at this one option where you join all these other couples on one of those rooftop carnival rides. After everybody says their vows, they then consummate the relationships by dangling you over the side of a tall building. But eventually, she suggested a budget version of the destination wedding instead. A group camping trip at Glacier National Park, Montana. So we booked our campsite for Labor Day long weekend. We corresponded by email with our JP, and we even managed to rent an RV from someone who lived nearby, which we would be sharing with both our mothers. The big day arrived, and I blissfully slept in while the rest of our wedding party ate breakfast. I was always like that as a teenager on Christmas morning as well. Then, while she was off with her bridesmaid at a spa in town getting a makeover, I showered and changed my suit as best I could in those cramped quarters. That is, after I got out of the shower, threw on some clothes, and walked to the other end of the RV to flip on that stupid pump I forgot about. I stood in front of majestic Lake McDonald beside our JP as I watched my bride trudge towards me, dragging that heavy train over the gravel pathway, balancing on those platform shoes she was wearing to lessen our height difference. Our vows went pretty much as planned, except for the JP mispronouncing her name a few times. That and her brother-in-law yelling, "Get a room," 3 seconds into our kiss. We then started to make our way back up that gravel pathway, this time on a slight incline. Now, as anybody who has ever been in a relationship where there's a height disparity knows full well, you both have to alter your stride significantly whenever you walk together. And in that particular moment, I am pretty sure I must have resembled a penguin leading a tortoise. We got about 4 aisles up when I heard this big, long, heavy sigh beside me, and she spun around and planted herself on that bench, pulling off her shoes and letting her fuzzy purple socks breathe in the afternoon sun. After a short rest, the JP summoned us back, looked at my new bride, and asked her to produce the certificate for signing. Her eyelids snapped shut in an expression I'm all too familiar with. It's back at the trailer. I was just happy she didn't say back at the house. That night, at our campfire reception, my new bride got to hear all sorts of stories about her kindness and generous spirit. And I got to hear multiple times about that day I tried river kayaking for the first time. And with less than an hour of sunlight to go, they found me wandering the side of the road, pale and shivering, scratched and bleeding, dragging that stupid kayak behind me like it was a plow. One thing about our friends, they really liked their theme parties. And for the next day's festivities, they had chosen to go with a hillbilly theme to match our surroundings. My bride looked very fetching in her leopard print robe, her hair all done up in curlers made out of empty beer cans. As for myself, I had prearranged with my mother-in-law to bring the one essential component of my costume. Now I realize it's a bad idea to bring politics into a humorous speech, so I'll just say it was a very popular ball cap of a certain color. Much as it pained me to make that $5 donation, I made sure to take it off whenever I went to the washroom. I didn't want any outside feedback, good or bad. People kept bugging me to throw it in the fire, but I just couldn't contribute any more to the pollution. I will say I was extra boisterous with many of my jokes that evening. I still don't know whether I can blame it on the cap or the alcohol. The next day, we bid farewell to our friends and family. We spent a lovely day at Waterton Park, and then we adjourned to our motel in nearby Pincher Creek. It was actually one of the cleanest and more tastefully decorated rooms we'd stayed in. We called it our wedding miracle. Of course, the only place open for dinner was a Boston pizza. We will be taking a proper honeymoon come this February. Come morning, we headed for home to unpack and spend a relaxing evening together. On the way, we picked up some Tabor corn and stopped at a thrift store, where we purchased a ring mold, a copy of Wii Bowling, and a small plumbing snake. Yes, my friends, guess you could say our micro honeymoon was over. But once again, February isn't too far behind. Madam Chair.